On our wedding anniversary, during the live broadcast of a charity gala, my husband Jason auctioned off the $1 million necklace Dawn's tears and placed it around Vivian's neck. With deep affection, he said, "This necklace is for the light of my life, my redeemer, Miss Vivian." Meanwhile, I looked at the message I had received half an hour earlier. "There's an urgent matter at the company. I'll make up for the anniversary gift tomorrow." My finger slid across the screen, forwarding the live stream link to my divorce lawyer. Today is our wedding anniversary. I had set up a candlelit dinner in the dining room, with the red wine decanted and the steaks waiting in the warming box. Nina was lying on the coffee table, earnestly drawing something, her little face scrunched up. "Mom, look." She held up the drawing paper in her hand, which depicted 3 stick figures, Dad, Mom, and her. We were holding hands in front of a house, with a rainbow overhead. "It's an anniversary gift for Dad." Nina's eyes sparkled. "Dad will come home early today, right?" I patted her little head. "Of course." As soon as the words left my mouth, my phone rang. "There's an urgent matter at the company. I'll make up for the anniversary gift tomorrow." I looked at the words on the screen, feeling no ripple in my heart. I was used to it. For 7 years, every important day had been like this. My birthday, Nina's birthday, our wedding anniversary. There was always an urgent matter. Nina leaned over to look at my phone. "Is Dad not coming back again?" "It's okay, we can celebrate just the 2 of us." I put away my phone and was about to clear away the dinner. Suddenly, a push notification popped up on my phone. "Yanchen Technology President Jason appears at charity gala." I was stunned for a moment. I clicked into the live stream. In the footage, Jason was impeccably dressed in a suit, exuding confidence. He was seated in the VIP section of the charity auction, with a woman beside him. Vivian. She was wearing a white gown, with exquisite makeup and a gentle smile. She looked like a true elite wife. Next up for auction is the work from Italy's top jewelry designer, Dawn's tears. The host's voice announced, starting bid, $3 million. It was a diamond necklace, with the main stone at least 10 carats, sparkling under the lights. $5 million. Jason raised his paddle, his voice resounding. $8 million. $10 million. In the end, he won the necklace for $10 million. The entire venue erupted in applause. I sat on the sofa, the phone screen right in front of me. I watched as Jason stood up and personally placed the necklace around Vivian's neck. His movements were gentle and careful, just like when he put the wedding ring on my finger 7 years ago. "This necklace is for the light of my life," he said to the camera, his gaze affectionate. "My redeemer, Miss Vivian." Vivian covered her mouth, tears welling up. "Jason, you're making me embarrassed." "No need to be embarrassed, you deserve the best in the world." Jason held her hand. "If it weren't for your help back then, there wouldn't be the me of today." The comments exploded instantly. "Oh my God. What a fairy tale love story. So Jason has such a past. Vivian is so lucky. This must be the legendary white moonlight." I watched the screen expressionlessly. My fingers lightly slid across, forwarding the live stream link to lawyer Gavin. Then I closed the stream, stood up, and went to the kitchen. I dumped the carefully prepared dinner plates one by one into the trash bin. Nina followed behind me. "Mom, what are you doing?" "Nothing, I just don't feel hungry anymore." The sound of a car engine came from outside. Jason was back. He pushed the door open, reeking of alcohol. Seeing me standing at the kitchen door, he frowned. "Why are you still up so late?" "Waiting for you to come back." He walked over and saw the food in the trash bin. "Why waste food? It's fine, no one was going to eat it anyway." My tone was calm. Jason sensed something was off. "What do you mean by that?" "Nothing." I turned to go upstairs. "Sophie." He called out to me, "I know you're angry, but you have to understand, Vivian saved me back then. It's only right that I repay her. Don't be unreasonable." I stopped, turned back to look at him. Understood. You can sleep in the guest room. Jason was stunned for a moment. In the past, when I was angry, I would cry and make a fuss. Today's calmness made him uneasy. But he quickly dismissed that unease. Fine, suit yourself. He snorted coldly and turned to go upstairs. I stood there, watching his back. For the first time in 7 years, he felt so unfamiliar to me. Mom. Nina poked her little head out from the stairs. Does Dad not want us anymore? I walked over and picked her up. No, Nina. Dad is just too busy with work. The sound of Jason closing the door came from upstairs. It was heavy and forceful. The next morning, Jason unusually came downstairs for breakfast on his own initiative. He seemed in a good mood, sipping coffee while scrolling through his phone. Sophie, let's go to that new family amusement park today. He said without looking up, as if nothing had happened last night. Nina will definitely like it. Upon hearing this, Nina immediately jumped up from the sofa. Really, Dad? The 3 of us together? Of course. Jason finally looked up, giving his daughter a long absent smile. I watched this scene, feeling no stir in my heart. For 7 years, I had seen this kind of temporary compensation too many times. But as long as Nina was happy. An hour later, we got into Jason's car. I habitually went to sit in the back, but Jason called out to me. Sit in the front, a family should be neat and together. I opened the passenger door, and when I was about to put my bag down, I froze. The glove compartment was stuffed full. Not my things. A box of stomach medicine, a bottle of perfume, several lipsticks, and a neatly folded piece of paper. I unfolded the paper, it was a sketch. It depicted Vivian with a gentle smile and affectionate eyes. Jason's signature was in the bottom right corner. What is this? I held up the drawing. Jason glanced at it, his expression unnatural. Oh, Vivian has stomach issues, I just kept some medicine for her. The drawing is something she asked for before, I just sketched it casually. Don't overthink it. I didn't say anything, refold the drawing, and put it back in the glove compartment. Then I tossed my own bag to the back seat. As soon as the car left the neighborhood, Jason's phone rang. Vivian? He answered the call, his voice immediately becoming gentle. What's wrong? Crying came from the other end. I couldn't hear what she was saying, but Jason's face grew increasingly grim. What? Netizens are doxing you? Where are you now? Okay, don't be afraid, I'll come right over. After hanging up, Jason sharply turned the steering wheel and made a U-turn. Dad, are we not going to the amusement park? Nina poked her little head from the back seat, her face full of disappointment. Another day. Jason didn't look back. Aunt Vivian is in trouble, I have to go check on her first. The car stopped by the roadside. Jason turned around, looking at Nina and me. I'll go comfort Vivian first, the driver will come pick you up later. With that, he got out, hailed a taxi, and left. Leaving Nina and me standing by the road. The November wind was cold. Nina held my hand, her little face flushed from the wind. Mom, when can we go home? Why isn't the driver uncle here yet? I took out my phone and sent Jason a message. When will the driver arrive? I waited 10 minutes, no reply. I called again, and it went straight to voicemail. Cars came and went on the road, none to pick us up. Nina started coughing. Mom, I'm cold. I took off my coat and put it on her, then hailed a taxi. Driver, to Tsuehu neighborhood. We got home 2 hours later. I made Nina a cup of hot milk and sat on the sofa in a daze. The TV was still on, playing the news. Suddenly, a familiar face appeared on the screen. Jason was standing in front of the Yanchen Technology Building, surrounded by reporters. Regarding the malicious slander against Ms. Vivian online, I must make a solemn statement. He faced the camera with a serious expression. Ms. Vivian is my lifelong benefactor, she helped me during my most difficult times. I will not allow anyone to harm her. I hope everyone treats this rationally and stops the cyberbullying. Reporters raised their microphones, vying to ask questions. Mr. Jason, what is your relationship with Ms. Vivian? What does your wife think about this? Jason waved his hand. I just want to say that Ms. Vivian deserves the best in the world. Anyone who dares to harm her is opposing me, Jason. On TV, he was full of vigor, perfectly embodying the role of a protector. Nina sat beside me with her milk. She pointed at the TV screen. Mom, Dad is protecting Aunt Vivian. Just like Superman protecting a princess. She blinked her big eyes at me. Then what are we? I was stunned. If Vivian is the princess and Jason is Superman, what roles do Nina and I play in this story? Villains? Or nameless extras not even worthy of a name? I reached out and hugged Nina, feeling the warmth of her small body. In this home, my daughter and I were the outsiders. The 2 hours we were left by the roadside were like the 7 years we had been tossed to the edge of this family. At 11 o'clock that night, I tucked Nina in and was about to rest. My phone rang. It was a Facebook message. It was from Vivian. A photo. She and Jason in some upscale restaurant, Jason's hand on her shoulder, both smiling sweetly. Like a couple. The caption, "Thank you for taking such good care of Jason." I stared at the screen for a few seconds. Delete the chat history, block. The phone rang immediately. Jason's call. Sophie. Did you provoke Vivian again? His voice was angry. She just had an emotional breakdown. Sophie, where did your kindness and sensibility go? What have you become now? I didn't speak. I listened as he continued to accuse me over the phone, as if I had really done something unforgivable, rather than being provoked by a photo. Sophie. Speak. I hung up the phone. Blocked. I set the phone to silent and tossed it aside. I got up and went to the closet to pack. Only taking Nina's and my clothes. Nothing else. The things accumulated over 7 years, jewelry, cosmetics, bags, all left behind. I didn't want to take anything related to this home. After packing the luggage, I went into the study. Opened the safe. There were no valuable jewels inside. Only a yellowed document. Handwritten. Yanshan Technology Development Plan. That was what I anonymously sent to Jason 7 years ago. At the time, he had just graduated from university, harboring entrepreneurial dreams, but hitting walls everywhere. No one believed a poor kid from an ordinary family could succeed. Except me. I spent 3 months creating a detailed business plan for him. From market analysis to risk assessment, from financial planning to team building. Every page was my blood and sweat. I flipped open the first page. It was marked with various key points and notes in red pen. The handwriting was a bit faded, but still legible. The second page, the third, every page had my annotations. This plan later helped him secure his first venture capital. It was also the cornerstone of his business empire. A blueprint worth hundreds of billions. All from my hand. The irony is, he never knew. The phone vibrated. A text from Jason, "Have you made enough fuss? If you keep it up, we'll divorce, and you won't get a penny from me." I looked at the message and laughed. Laughed until tears came out. Money? Did he think I cared about his money? I took the plan and walked to the living room fireplace. There were still charred remnants from yesterday in the fireplace. I struck a match. The flames danced, reflecting on my face. "Goodbye," I said to the plan. Then I threw it into the fire. The paper ignited instantly. I watched the dense handwriting being devoured by the flames. Watched my youth and wisdom turn to ashes. The firelight reflected in my eyes, cold and resolute. I took out my phone and dialed lawyer Gavin. "Prepare for asset liquidation." Gavin's voice was calm, received. "Sophie, are you sure about this?" "Sure." I watched the last page disappear in the flames. Since he wants freedom so badly, I'll give him freedom. And take everything of his along with it. I hung up and sat on the sofa, watching the flames in the fireplace slowly die out. 7 years of marriage, burned to ashes just like that. Jason's performance began again. The company is holding a family day event, bring Nina along. He stood in front of me, his tone commanding and non-negotiable. Media will be there, we need to project a harmonious family image. I looked at him in his suit and tie, thinking how seriously this man took his acting. Okay. I agreed readily. Anyway, this was what I wanted too. On the day of the event, the Yanchen Technology Building was decorated like an amusement park. Streamers fluttered, balloons filled the sky. Employees brought their families and children amid laughter and joy. I held Nina's hand as we entered the hall, immediately feeling countless gazes. Some curious, some sympathetic, some gloating. After all, rumors about Jason and Vivian were flying all over the internet. Mom, it's so lively here. Nina's eyes sparkled, completely unaware of what today meant. Yes, very lively. I patted her little head, but my mind was on something else. Today should be the last time. Vivian did come, as expected. She was dressed in a light pink professional suit, with exquisite makeup and a gentle smile. She even had a special badge on her chest, Yanchen Technology Special Advisor. Quite thoughtful. Jason was by her side, the two chatting and laughing like a loving couple. And I felt more like an outsider. Hello, Mrs. Sophie. An employee came over to greet me, with a subtly polite tone. Hello. I responded politely, but inwardly observing everything around me. Meanwhile, Vivian was enjoying the treatment of the hostess. How interesting. Nina went to the play area with other kids. I stood aside watching, overhearing several female employees whispering. I heard Jason and advisor Vivian are the real couple. Yes, advisor Vivian was Jason's lifesaver back then. Then Mrs. Sophie must be so embarrassed? Who told her to marry a man with a white moonlight? Their voices weren't loud, but enough for Nina to hear. I watched my daughter's small figure stop in place, her little fists slowly clenching. Oh no. Nina walked straight toward Vivian. Aunt Vivian. Her voice was loud, everyone in the play area heard. Vivian turned around, saw Nina, and immediately showed a gentle smile. Nina, what's wrong? They say you're the real boss lady. Nina pointed at those female employees, her little face flushed red. You're not. My mom is. The surroundings instantly quieted. All eyes focused on this small figure. Vivian's expression changed slightly but quickly returned to normal. She walked over, trying to hold Nina's hand. Nina, Aunt knows you like Dad, but you can't say that. Her voice was aggrieved, her eyes reddening. Adult matters, kids shouldn't speak carelessly. I'm not speaking carelessly. Nina shook off her hand. You're just not. Vivian pulled Nina toward the stairwell. Nina, let's go to a quiet place to talk, okay? I quickly followed, with an ominous premonition in my heart. Right at the stairwell, Vivian suddenly slipped. She let out a painful scream, tumbling down several steps. Her skirt tore, hair disheveled, makeup ruined. She looked truly miserable on the ground. Meanwhile, Nina stood at the stairwell, her face shocked. Help! Someone pushed me. Vivian lay on the ground, tears streaming. Nina pushed me. She pushed me down the stairs. People immediately surrounded her. Call an ambulance. How is Advisor Vivian? Oh my God, how could this child do that? Discussions arose, all arrows pointing at Nina. Jason rushed through the crowd. He saw Vivian on the ground, then looked at Nina at the stairwell. His face turned ashen instantly. Nina. What did you do? His voice carried unprecedented anger. It wasn't me. Nina cried out, I didn't push her. You dare lie. Jason charged up the stairs in a few strides. I tried to stop him, but he had already grabbed Nina's arm. Apologize to Aunt Vivian. Dad, I really didn't. Slap. A crisp slap echoed through the hall. Everyone was stunned. Nina covered her face, looking at her father in disbelief. Blood seeped from the corner of her mouth. You vicious child. Jason roared, just like your mom. The room fell dead silent. I slowly walked over, not looking at Jason. Instead, I squatted down and gently wiped the blood from my daughter's mouth with a handkerchief. The action was gentle, like wiping juice stains off her usually. But my gaze was ice cold. Does it hurt? I asked Nina softly. She nodded, tears falling harder. Mom, I really didn't push her. I know. I helped my daughter up, staring directly at the furious Jason and the fragile Vivian on the ground. Then, I smiled. A smile of relief. Nina, remember today. I said softly to my daughter, remember who hit you. Then I took out my phone and sent a message in front of everyone. What are you laughing at? Jason saw the smile on my lips and became even angrier. You still have the face to laugh. I raised my eyes and said clearly, word by word, Jason, congratulations, you've successfully passed the final test. I held up the phone screen. It was the message to Gavin, betrayer clause all conditions met, execute immediately. Jason was stunned, then sneered, what trick are you playing now? I didn't answer. Just looked at him as if looking at a dead man. He didn't know that this slap not only shattered our daughter's last illusion but also personally tolled the death knell for his business empire. I held Nina's hand and walked out of the Yanchen Technology building without looking back. My daughter's face was still red and swollen, her little hand tightly clutching my hem, silent. Mom, where are we going? To a safe place. Gavin was already waiting downstairs, the Maybach quietly parked by the road. He opened the door. The hotel is arranged. Thank you. The car smoothly merged into traffic. I took out my phone and blocked all of Jason's contact methods one by one. Facebook, phone, texts. Even his company's landline was blocked. The world was finally quiet. Nina leaned in my arms and asked softly, Mom, why did Dad hit me? I gently stroked her hair. Because he's sick. What sickness? Blindness. The hotel was the best presidential suite in the city center. Security was tight. I bathed Nina, applied ointment, and coaxed her to sleep. Then I sat by the floor-to-ceiling window, looking at the lights still on in the Yanchen Technology building across the way. Tomorrow was Jason's big day. The cross-border merger signing ceremony. He had prepared for 3 months, wanting to showcase his business genius image in front of the media. I took out my phone and sent Gavin a message, begin. The next day at 10 a.m. red carpet laid out in front of the Yanchen Technology building, reporters gathered. I sat in the hotel, turning on the TV live broadcast. Jason, in his newly bought Armani suit, stood confidently at the signing table. Vivian was there too, her arm bandaged, looking like a victim. Today, Yanchen Technology is about to welcome a historic moment. Jason spoke eloquently to the camera. This acquisition will triple our market value. I watched his smug look on the screen and couldn't help but laugh. Nina woke up and crawled to my side. Mom, Dad is on TV. Yes, he's performing. Performing what? A clown. On TV, Jason was about to sign the contract. The camera gave a close-up, his hand just touched the pen. Suddenly, a figure rushed into the frame. It was Yanchen Technology's CFO, Edward. This man in his 50s, usually steady as a mountain, now had a deathly pale face and was trembling all over. He rushed to Jason's side, urgently whispering something in his ear. Jason's expression changed instantly. From smug to incredulous. From incredulous to terrified. He grabbed Edward's arm, saying something. Though no sound, it was clear he was questioning. Edward grimaced, nodding repeatedly. Jason's face grew paler. The representatives from the other company noticed the anomaly. They whispered among themselves, then stood up. We regret to inform that the signing ceremony is paused. The interpreter conveyed their words to the on-site reporters. The venue was in an uproar. Reporters swarmed Jason like sharks smelling blood. Mr. Jason, what happened? Why the sudden pause in signing? Is there a funding issue? Jason's face was ashen, sweat dripping down his forehead. He wanted to explain, but his lips trembled, unable to utter a word. I picked up my coffee and slowly took a sip. Nina, watch closely. This is the consequence of lying. On TV, Jason's phone kept ringing. He answered one tremblingly. Then another. With each call, his face grew uglier. Finally, he smashed the phone on the ground. The screen shattered, just like his current state of mind. Jason pushed through the reporters and rushed out of the building like a madman. Got in the car, floored the accelerator. I knew where he was going. The bank. Sure enough, half an hour later, he appeared at the central bank building. No live broadcast this time, but I could imagine his expression. Despair. Anger. And fear. He stayed in the bank for 2 hours. When he came out, he was a changed man. Hair disheveled, suit wrinkled. Like a lunatic. He stood at the bank entrance, took out his phone to call me. Then he discovered he couldn't get through. I looked at the time. 3 p.m. Yanshan Technologies stock had hit the limit down. A 20% drop. Market value evaporated by $3 billion. Jason drove to my mom's house. It was an ordinary neighborhood where I lived before marriage. He pressed the doorbell downstairs for a long time, no answer. Then he started pounding the door. Sophie. Come out. I know you're in there. Neighbors called the police. The police came and took him away. Half an hour later, he was released. Because indeed no one was home. My mom had moved out 3 months ago. Went abroad to accompany my dad for treatment. Jason stood dejectedly at the neighborhood entrance. At that moment, his phone rang. An email. Sender, Jeanshire Law Firm. Subject, Notice of Legal Representative Change. Jason opened the email and saw the content that completely broke him. Due to the controlling party Dawn Trust activating the highest authority. Yanshan Technologies legal representative changed to Sophie. He looked at my name on the screen. Stunned for 3 seconds. Then he started laughing. Laughing hysterically. Laughing until tears came. Passers-by avoided this madman. Ha ha ha. Sophie, you think this will win? You think sending a fake document from some shady law firm will scare me? Naive. Too naive. He called his own lawyer. Sue Sophie immediately. Sue her for forging documents. Sue her for maliciously destroying the marriage. I want her in jail. Jason stormed into the conference room with his legal team, aggressive. Sophie. You've gone too far this time. His voice echoed in the empty conference room. Forging legal documents, maliciously freezing assets, wait to go to jail. I sat at the head of the conference table, in a black haute couture suit. Mr. Jason, please sit. I pointed to the opposite chair. My voice was so calm that even I was surprised. Jason was stunned. He obviously didn't expect me to be so calm. According to past scripts, I should be tearfully explaining to him. What are you pretending? He slapped the table. I tell you, your little tricks are exposed. What Dawn Trust, what asset freeze, all fake. Vivian followed in. Her arm still bandaged, looking like a victim. Seeing me at the head, a flash of unwillingness in her eyes. Sophie, why torture yourself like this? Vivian sighed hypocritically. Jason isn't denying you living expenses, why make such a fuss? I looked at her and suddenly wanted to laugh. This woman still thought she had the upper hand. Ms. Vivian is right. I nodded, I am indeed tired. Jason and Vivian exchanged glances. They didn't expect me to surrender so quickly. I'm just a woman, what do I know about company management? I took out a document from my bag. After all this tossing, I realize how foolish I was. It was the divorce agreement Jason had prepared long ago. It clearly stated, Sophie leaves with nothing, no division of any assets. I'll sign. I picked up the pen, the company back to you, house and cars too. I want nothing, just beg you to let Nina and me live. Jason's lawyers were dumbfounded. They had prepared a pile of complex legal terms, but I surrendered directly. Ha ha ha. Jason laughed loudly. Sophie, you've finally figured it out. I said, you're just a housewife, what waves can you make? Vivian's lips curled into a smug smile. She came over, pretending to care, patting my shoulder. Sophie, if you knew this earlier, why bother? Look, solving problems amicably is so much better. I signed my name on the divorce agreement. The handwriting neat, without a tremor. Lawyer Gavin, please witness. I pushed the agreement to Gavin. Gavin glanced at me, signed in the witness column. Then discreetly put away the agreement. All right, now you can unfreeze my assets, right? Jason said impatiently. And change the legal representative back to my name. Of course. I took out my phone and dialed in front of them. Is this the bank? Unfreeze Mr. Jason's account. Yes, all marital community property, handle according to the divorce agreement. I hung up and stood. Jason, from today, we have no relation. Yanchin Technology is still yours, I won't interfere anymore. Jason's phone rang immediately. It was the bank. Mr. Jason, your account is unfrozen, company control restored. He hung up, completely relaxed. Sophie, you've finally done something wise. He looked at me contemptuously, like a sore loser. Vivian linked her arm with his. Jason, let's go. Don't bother with such people. I watched their departing backs, no ripple in my heart. They thought they won. But they didn't know, I only gave up the empty shell of marriage. The company was never marital property. It was trust assets. I never truly let go. After the divorce procedures, Jason and Vivian were excited as if on steroids. Vivian, let's have an engagement ceremony. Jason hugged Vivian's waist, eyes gleaming with triumph. Let the world know you're my true woman. Vivian shyly leaned in his arms, inwardly blooming with joy. Jason, won't this be too high profile? High profile is good. Jason kissed her fiercely, I want everyone to see what true love is. They chose the top-floor banquet hall of the city's tallest skyscraper. 1,000 square meters, crystal chandeliers, champagne towers, flowers everywhere. Media reporters were in place early, business elites gathered. Vivian wore a custom champagne-colored gown, diamond necklace sparkling. She surveyed around, enjoying everyone's envious gazes. Miss Vivian is so beautiful today. Jason has good taste. This is true matching. Vivian smiled ear to ear. Finally, she was no longer the hidden mistress but the legitimate hostess. Jason, in suit and tie, went on stage, took the microphone. Dear friends, today I announce a major decision. Applause thundered below. Yanchin Technology's success today is inseparable from one person's support. She is the noble in my life, my redeemer, Miss Vivian. The recent company turmoil was due to a wrong marriage. Jason said this without guilt. Now, I can finally be with the one I truly love. Applause below grew more enthusiastic. Vivian was moved to tears, gently wiping with a handkerchief. Vivian is the true dawn of my career and life. Jason looked at her affectionately. Without her, no Yanchin Technology today. Applause surged like tides. Jason suddenly knelt on one knee, took out the Dawn's Tears necklace from his pocket. Vivian, marry me. Be the true hostess of Yanchin Technology. Vivian covered her mouth, tears streaming. I do. Before finishing, the banquet hall's big screen flickered. The scene switched. A high-definition video started playing. Familiar scene, familiar faces. Jason's angry roar echoed through the hall. You vicious child. Just like your mom. Slap. Close-up of that slap, slow-motion replay. Nina's small body staggered. Blood seeping from her mouth, clearly visible on the big screen. The room fell dead silent. Everyone was stunned. Vivian's smile froze instantly. Jason knelt on the ground, turned to the big screen, face turning pale instantly. What's going on? Guests began whispering. Oh my God, he hit his own daughter? This is too much? For a mistress, even hitting his biological daughter? The banquet hall door slowly opened. On the red carpet, a figure slowly approached. In a blood-red gown, like a queen descending. Sophie. She linked arms with Gavin, followed by two distinguished middle-aged people. The man stern and profound, the woman elegant and noble. Someone recognized them. That's the chairman couple of Sioux Group? The legendary mysterious tycoons who never show up? Jason and Vivian froze on stage. They looked at the transformed me, and the two powerful middle-aged people behind, minds blank. Vivian's hands trembled badly. The Dawn's Tears necklace on her neck shone with ironic light. Jason still knelt on one knee, like a frozen clown. Sorry to disturb everyone. Father took the microphone, voice steady and authoritative. But I think it's necessary to clarify. My daughter Sophie is the sole settler and ultimate beneficiary of the Dawn Trust. The audience gasped. I saw Jason's eyes nearly bulging out. Vivian was even paler, swaying. Gavin went on stage, calmly turned on the projector. The big screen showed dense documents. Dawn Trust establishment documents. Proof of fund sources. All from Miss Sophie's personal account. Total, $5.2 billion US. The audience exploded. Oh my God. 5.2 billion. The Sioux family is so rich? Then Jason is a total gigolo? Hearing these discussions, Jason's face alternated between green and white. He tried to stand, but his legs were like noodles. Yanchen Technologies' first startup fund. Gavin continued showing evidence. 30 million, from Dawn Trust. Second round financing, 80 million, from Dawn Trust. Key investment before listing, 200 million, still from Dawn Trust. With each number, Jason's face paled more. Vivian started retreating. She wanted to slip away but was blocked by my bodyguards. The so-called life-saving grace. Gavin's voice echoed in the hall. Was merely Ms. Vivian stealing the credit for Sophie's anonymous support back then? This was a meticulously planned scam lasting 7 years. More evidence appeared on the big screen. Vivian's forged chat records. Her transfers to bribe insiders. Even photos of her hiring people to stalk me. No. It's not like that. Vivian finally screamed. It was me. I helped Jason back then. I didn't lie. Her voice was sharp and piercing, like a dying bird. Guests below cast contemptuous looks. Still quibbling? Evidence is right there. This woman has thick skin. I took the microphone, facing Jason directly for the first time. He was still kneeling, eyes vacant like a dead man. Jason. I once wanted to give you the dignity of starting from scratch. But you didn't even want the dignity of being a father and husband. These words pierced his heart like a knife. Jason's lips moved, but no sound came. Sophie is right. Someone below started applauding. This man is an ungrateful wolf. Hitting his own daughter for a mistress. Doesn't deserve to be human. Applause grew more intense. But this time it was for me. Lawyer Gavin, under everyone's attention, formally announced, due to beneficiary Jason seriously violating the loyalty and protection principle in the trust agreement, causing irreparable physical and mental harm to trust heir Nina, the betrayer clause takes full effect immediately. His voice like a judge's verdict, each word clearly conveyed. Below instantly silent, you could hear a pin drop. Jason still knelt, holding that necklace. Like a thunderstruck wooden man. The clause contents are as follows. Gavin unhurriedly, like reading a menu. Mr. Jason is immediately stripped of all positions, equity, and benefits in Yanchen Technology. All assets under his name purchased with trust funds, including but not limited to mansions, luxury cars, yachts, will be reclaimed within 3 days. As the words fell, gasps erupted below. Vivian's face white as paper, body swaying. She was just fantasizing about mansion and luxury car life, now slapped down hard. More importantly, Gavin deliberately drew out the tone. According to the clause, Mr. Jason must repay all amounts advanced by the trust since its establishment within 30 days. He paused, a glint of schadenfreude in his eyes. Principal plus interest, totaling $5.8 billion US. This number exploded the banquet hall like a bomb. Jason's vision blackened, collapsing to the ground. 5.8 billion. He couldn't even get 58 million in his lifetime. From billionaire to debt-ridden pauper. In the time of one sentence. Everything he prided himself on, the business genius halo, successful man image, vanished in an instant. Vivian saw things going wrong, took off her heels, prepared to slip away quietly. But 2 black-clad bodyguards discreetly blocked her. Miss Vivian, please wait. The bodyguard's tone polite, but body blocking firmly. Vivian's face paled more. She turned to Jason, hoping this man would stand up for her. But Jason had completely collapsed, lying motionless like a dead dog. I looked at the dejected Jason on stage, no ripple in my gaze. This man's arrogance over 7 years, his contempt over 7 years. Got the best retribution at this moment. Nina poked her little head from behind Gavin, timidly looking at me. Mom, what's wrong with Dad? I squatted, gently stroking my daughter's hair. Nina, watch closely. The bad guy got punished. Vivian started panicking. First time seeing her so discomposed. Since everyone is so interested, let's see something more exciting. I nodded to Gavin. The big screen started playing more evidence. Vivian's chat record screenshots, her personally modified transfer times. Her bank flows for paying hush money to insiders. Even photos of her hiring people to stalk me. In the photos, I was pushing a stroller taking Nina to the park. Vivian hiding behind a tree, like a perverted stalker. These are all fake. Vivian's voice sharp like a pig being slaughtered. You forged evidence to frame me. Laughter erupted below. Still quibbling? Ironclad evidence and still not admitting? This woman has really thick skin. Gavin's legal team went on stage then. Each in sharp suits, powerful presence. Ms. Vivian, this is the civil complaint against you. The lawyer slapped the document in front of her. Commercial fraud, defamation, infringement of trade secrets. And malicious destruction of others' marriage and family. Vivian's hands shook badly, couldn't hold the document steady. No. I didn't. She turned to Jason, eyes full of despair. Jason. Say something. Tell them, it was me who helped you back then. Jason still sprawled on the ground, eyes vacant like a dead man. Hearing Vivian, he finally reacted. But not defending her, instead showing a sarcastic smile. You? His voice hoarse like a broken bellows. What are you? Vivian was stunned. This man was just kneeling proposing to her. Now turning his back? Jason, how can you say that? She cried pitifully, trying to grab Jason's hand. Jason avoided her like the plague. Don't touch me. His voice disgusted. I want to vomit just seeing you now. Guests below watched with relish. This was more exciting than TV dramas. Just affectionate to death, now tearing at each other. At that moment, the hall door was pushed open. Several uniformed people entered. Who is Vivian? The lead police showed ID. Someone reported, please cooperate with the investigation. Vivian's face instantly white as paper. She tried to retreat but was blocked by my bodyguards. "Comrade police, must be a misunderstanding." Her voice trembled. "I did nothing." The police looked at the materials. Commercial fraud, huge amount. Also forging documents, maliciously spreading false information. "Please cooperate with our investigation." Vivian completely collapsed. She knelt, crawling toward Jason. "Jason! Save me. Didn't you say you'd protect me forever?" Jason didn't even glance at her. He could barely save himself, let alone others. Police went over to take Vivian away. She still struggled lastly. "I didn't fraud. It's Sophie. All Sophie framing me. She's jealous. Jealous Jason loves me." Guests below shook heads. "Still lying now. This woman should go to prison. Poor Jason, scammed so badly by her." Hearing this, I almost laughed. Poor Jason? They're the same kind, no sympathy for either. When Vivian was taken away, the Dawn's Tears necklace still hung on her neck, shining ironic light under the lamps. Just like her lies over 7 years. Looked beautiful, actually worthless. Only Jason left on stage. He sat on the ground, like abandoned trash. Former partners avoided him. Business elites who surrounded him earlier now looked with contempt. This carnival, originally for scammers and betrayers, ultimately became their trial court. The rain poured heavily. I sat in the car, through the window seeing a disheveled figure. Jason knelt at the Sioux Group building entrance, soaked. The former suited business elite now looked like a vagrant. He blocked my car. The driver frowned, wanting to drive away. I waved. "Stop." Jason saw me, hope instantly igniting in his eyes. He crawled to the car, pounding the window. "Sophie. Sophie, listen. I know I was wrong. Really wrong." Rain mixed with tears streamed down his face. Looked especially pitiful. I rolled down the window, expressionlessly looking at him. "Sophie, I was blind." He cried like a child. "I was deceived by that bitch Vivian. She scammed me for 7 years. I knew nothing. Please forgive me, let's start over, okay?" He started recalling the past. Saying how moved he was when we first met. How grateful when I accompanied his startup. How excited when Nina was born. Every detail vivid. As if he really loved me deeply. I listened to his performance, no stir in my heart. "Sophie, I miss Nina." He suddenly changed tack. "She's my daughter. I know hitting her was wrong, but I was too agitated. I'll apologize. I'll compensate her well. Let me see her, okay?" I looked at his sobbing mess, suddenly wanted to laugh. "Now you know Nina is your daughter? Why didn't you think when hitting her?" "Driver." I didn't answer him. "Turn on the car TV." The driver did. The screen lit, looping a video. Jason slapping Nina in slow motion. Over and over. Jason saw the scene, face turning white instantly. "Sophie, what you slapped away wasn't half of Nina's tooth." My voice calm. "But the last affection between us, and your own life. Some mistakes can never be remedied." Jason's eyes widened, looking at me in disbelief. "Sophie, you can't be so heartless. We have 7 years of marital affection. Nina needs a father." I pressed the window up button. The glass slowly rose, isolating his desperate roars. "Drive." The driver floored it. I didn't look back. Through the rearview mirror, I saw Jason crazily chasing in the rain. Finally falling to the ground, lying like a dead dog. Nina sat beside me, little hand clutching my hem. "Mom, Dad looks so pitiful." "Nina, do you think he's pitiful?" "A little." She thought, then shook her head. "But when he hit me, he didn't pity me." I patted her little head. Half a year later. The Dawn Group sign shone in the sunlight. I stood by the office floor-to-ceiling window, overlooking the city. Miss Sophie, today's financial report. The assistant placed the file on my desk. Market value doubled again. Business expanded to Europe and America. In half a year, I surpassed Jason's 7-year achievements. This is the gap between a true business genius and a waste relying on women. Right, Miss Sophie. The assistant came over with a gossip magazine. Want to see this? The cover was a candid photo. A scruffy middle-aged man serving plates in a small restaurant. Hair gray, bent over, humble like a dog. If not for the title Jason's recent situation, I wouldn't recognize him. From billionaire to restaurant waiter. The drop was indeed huge. And this? The assistant flipped to inner pages. Vivian's photo. In prison uniform, shaved head, haggard beyond recognition. Sentenced to 10 years for huge fraud. I set the magazine aside. Aren't you angry, Miss Sophie? The assistant asked cautiously. Angry? I found it amusing. Why be angry? They got their due retribution. I only feel, karma is real. Nina returned from international school. She ran into the office bouncing with her small backpack. Mom. Today I got first in class. She held up the certificate, eyes shining like stars. I squatted and hugged her. Feeling her small body's warmth. This is my whole world. Nina, do you still miss Dad? No. She shook her head without thinking. Bad people don't deserve to be dads. Mom, can we live like this from now on? Just us two. I nodded. Okay. Outside, the sun set. The Dawn Group sign shone golden in the sunset. Just like its name. This is our dawn. A brand new beginning.